Hello.
Hello.
Say hello, Ma.
Hello, Mom. Hello,
Hello,
Mom.
everybody. Here we are. It's Yoga Sutras time. Do, 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 do. There's an old song with that tune. It's Yoga Sutras time. And let's see. Play it again, Sam, says Johnny. Okie dokie. And Roseanne is here saying, okay, thank you. Joe says starting over. Yay. What are you starting over?
Yoga Sutras.
It didn't, but it's there. Hello, Roseanne. Yeah, okay, there it is.
And
You're
we're
on
live.
the wrong file. You're on the wrong file, Roseanne. Not Roseanne, Rojo.
It's not there yet.
Yes, it is.
Now it's there.
It's there. You just opened the wrong thing. So we're looking at Yoga Sutras here. I'm going to bring this up for you, and we're going to play with the thing here. And so this is our friendly summary of the sutras page. I'm working on the technology here, so I have it here so that we can look at more than one page on here. So I'm learning how to use this Be Live technology. Anyway, we are now starting over on the Yoga Sutras. And as I think you've noticed, we're now doing the Yoga Sutras 2 times a week, and we're attempting to just move through them smoothly and not go in tremendous great detail. So as you are printing out this page and keeping track of your own progress through the sutras and checking off when you feel comfortable with it, if there's any question you have on any sutra or any one of these sections of the sutra, if you'll post it in the Abhyasa Ashram Satsang page in the comments box here, I'll come on and make another video or just type in a comment to you. Or maybe even in some sense, better yet, if you feel inclined to do it, come into the Table Talk group where there's a lot more interactivity going on. And so any particular point you want to discuss, that's a good place to do it. So I really want you to feel comfortable that you have some degree of working knowledge with each of these 39 sections. That's the reason for doing it like this. And what we keep exploring with is ways to try to make this easier for you without making it a huge intellectual study. And I bumped on that thing and I changed the size. I don't know how I did that. Oops. Oh, there it is. There's the whole thing big again. I don't know how I did that. I'm going to push this other button and see what happens here. View actual size. There, that's what I was looking for. Okay, so now I'm going to take this down, and I'm going to put this up here. Okay, now I know that's not as big as it could be, and what we will do when we get going here, I can go back and forth where you have, the smiling face of Matri and I. Smile, Ma. See, there's our smiling face with lots of teeth, and we're being friendly. And I don't know what to click on here. Huh?
And scary sometimes.
It's a little bit scary. See, if I take this out, then they get our 2 smiling faces like this.
Hi, Dorothy.
Hi, Ma.
Nice to be now.
Yeah, I'm glad this is working for you, and I'm glad you have totally figured out how to have this kind of internet in the Abhyasa Ashram, Netherlands.
Yeah, and unfortunately that the storm knocked out our satsang on the weekend. So this is bonus.
You were having a storm?
No, you.
Oh, we were having a storm, but it's all gone. It's completely gone now.
I know, but that caused us to not be online on Sunday.
So how is this looking to you? Can everybody give me some feedback here on how is this looking to you on your computers? Is this legible like this? Or when we are going through this, would you prefer, give me some feedback, and you too, Ma, or would you prefer that I do it like this, the full screen or the thing with both of us and this? I know you can see this better, but then you miss our smiling faces. And this may be too small for you on your computer. If I've tried this on the computer in the office, and that screen on that is so big that when I do it like this, it's quite visible, but I know that on the laptop it's smaller. So give me some feedback. Anybody?
Full screen is better.
And so let's see, the text is too little. Okay. Now, thank you, Joe. And there's Ron. What, Ma?
Does it mean they can't hear me either when I am not visibly on the screen?
I don't know. You will have to give us, we will run that experiment. You should be able to hear both of us. I'm going to switch this over and let's you and I keep talking here. I'm going to put the big screen up there. Mm-hmm. And so now keep talking, Mom.
I will. 1, 2, 3, good morning in the middle of the night. Where's Hashim? I was hoping Hashim would be here.
Now with somebody, now the text is bigger. Joe, since you are responding, would you tell us, is the text now big enough for you? And can you still hear my voice, and can you hear Ma Tree?
Yes, can you still hear us both?
Anybody? Can you hear my voice?
Buddy. We can hear you both with full screen, Marcia. Thank you.
Who said that?
Raj.
We can hear you both with full screen.
Good. Yeah, I don't see a signal here of when you are putting me online or offline.
I am not taking you offline.
No, but when the picture is presenting or not. But I'll just be presentable all the time.
Yeah, we'll just keep talking all the time. You can read the text though, right?
Yes, I can.
Hello, Sri Ram. Yes, I can. Text is good. So there, Joe says text is now good. Thank you, Joe, for being one who has given us feedback both ways.
Nice.
Thank you for the yes, yes, yes. I'm not exactly sure what yes, yes, yes means, Johnny. I presume that means this works. Okay, we can hear you both with full screen. But when I take this out of full screen mode, you get our smiling faces. You get our smiling faces, but the text gets too small. I think that's what we were seeing there.
Mm-hmm. That's what people were saying.
Yeah, okay. So we will just go to the default thing, and I will work the scrolling here, and we will just talk about it, okay? And so, Ma, remember that you and I, we're both talking.
Yes, that's why I'm here.
Yes, and so just make it conversational. We can't see each other's face, really, to see it. I can see you, but I know when I switch this into the bigger mode, you cannot see me. I think that's true.
I can still see you, Samadhi. That's nice.
So that means you and I can make sure we're still communicating.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but keep talking.
Hi,
Don't
Teria.
let. What?
Hi, Teria.
Hello all. Hello, Teria, aka Violet.
Yes, I'm here. I'm happy to be here for the new start of the journey.
Yes, and so, okay, now here we are. Now you see, when I display this for me, Ma, I don't see you or I either. I'm looking at the actual, the PDF file on the screen here, so it's very, very bright. So okay. We're just trying to move through this. Will you keep an eye, Ma? Will you keep an eye for me on the text. I'm going to move this to the other side here. There, I'm going to do this so I can come over here from time to time and read the comments. Okay?
Yes.
This is the first section here. Remember, we've broken this up into 39 sections. So the task here is to have a basic understanding of these 4 sutras, which we're calling yoga, where we're calling what is yoga. And notice this little image over here, this little icon. This is a picture version of the 4 chapters of the Yoga Sutras. So the first, and each one, the length of that is approximately the number of sutras that is in there. So the shortest chapter is chapter 4. And the next shortest is chapter 1, the one we're in right now. And the section we're looking at right now is in the top. So you see that little blue there. So if you're going through the website and wherever you see that, you'll know what we're looking at. So for example, I'm going to click here just so you can see it. This is Sutra 2.5. You see, notice that is, the little icon moves to the top. See, it's at the top of chapter 2. Okay, that's just, if you
very
haven't
nice
noticed,
for all the visual people.
yeah, it's something to be happy for all the visual-oriented people.
Yeah.
To sincerely begin the pursuit, I don't want to read this whole thing, so make sure that I don't accidentally fall into that trap, huh, Ma?
Okay. But you can read some, right?
What?
You're going to read some or nothing?
Yeah. I'm trying to get this view. All righty, I'm going to put that there, like that there. Yes, Teria says, this is exciting to start at the beginning. And actually, that's the first sutra.
Atta.
Huh? Atta. The first word of the Yoga Sutras is atta, which means now. This particular word now implies preparedness in arriving at this auspicious stage of desire and commitment towards self-realization, the highest goal of yoga. An example of that is extremely practical is sometimes a person says, well, I want to start studying the Yoga Sutras, and then immediately starts talking about how it doesn't make sense. It's confusing. I'm finding this Yoga Sutras confusing. And it's possible, I don't mean this in a negative sense, I sincerely don't. It's possible that the person is just simply not prepared yet to be doing this level of self-inquiry. We have to be prepared for it. So a common thing is that our mind is driving us crazy. A person says, I want to sit on my butt and just start meditating, but when I sit down, I start worrying and I get frustrated. And what it can mean is that we have not yet done atta. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
And now yoga, says Johnny. Yes. And so, anyway, there's the principle there. The first 4 sutras. The first 4 sutras define yoga. Many people have been saying this for a very long time, that the entire subject of Yoga Sutras, and for that matter, the entire subject of yoga, period, is summarized in the first 4 sutras. And then everything else in the sutras is an expansion upon that principle. It is a systematic progress. You move your attention inward. Now I'm just going to click on this temporarily here, that wherever I've used these hyperlinks, if you're going through it on the website, it's a neat way to just double check. And so here's another article that pops up, and what does it mean to say systematic? And this is how we move inward from the world of 3 dimensions, 2 dimensions, 1 dimension, and down literally to one-pointedness. It's just a way of saying it.
Being here.
What, Mom?
Being here. In a way, it would be wonderful to see if there is an auspicious Sanskrit word for here instead of now. Here,
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, to be in the here. And through all the levels of your being here. And I guess I'm just commenting on this just to make sure that you're aware that this was intentional.
Yes.
To do the, and so there's the page
we
on
made
the
a
left.
course on that.
Huh?
I said we made a course on that sentence.
Yeah, it's in the courses on the levels. Which course has levels? We put it in a couple of them.
And the yoga as meditation, Swamiji, because that's
It's
the
in
course
the yoga
that we
as
made.
meditation, and it's also in the basic meditation course, and it's in a couple of the others, but I don't remember what. We put it everywhere.
It's all about its essence. Constantly we talk about it.
There's a hi from Scott. Hi, Scott. And Joel says, hi. Joel says,
Good day, Scott.
good day.
Good day. Good day.
Good day. Yoga, knowing what's left after setting aside there is fundamental simplicity to this process. While the process appears complicated, there is a simplicity to it. The central theme is one of removing, transcending, or setting aside the obstacles, veils, or false identities. The many suggestions of the sutras are details or refinements about how to go about doing this. Very important to remember.
Goeienacht, Wouter. I see the Wouter popped up, but he's also up in the middle of the night. Goeienacht.
Goeie, hello, Wouter. That's a goeie hello.
Hello, that's good.
Once the obstacles and false identities have been set aside, the true self, which has been there all along, naturally comes shining through. Sutra 3 of chapter 1. The rest of the time, we're so entangled with our false identities that we literally do not see this manifestation. That's Sutra 4. So the simplicity is, 1, now that we're ready to take a look at this, here it comes. Here comes our journey. 2 is the definition of yoga. Yoga is the nirodha, setting aside of the identities. 3, when we pull that off, then we rest in our true nature, which is Atman or Purusha or capital S self, commonly called self-realization.
What popped up in my mind, Swamiji, was the one time you had that flashlight with the cups. And,
yeah, that's. I don't have the flashlight. I don't have the cups. I do have the cups. That was used as a coach's thing. I can go get the. You want me to go get the cups and the flashlight?
Yeah, because it doesn't have to necessarily be coaches.
Okay, that's the coaches. Well, let me finish my comment here. And so Sutra 4 is simply saying that in other times when we are not in the state of self-realization, we take on all these false identities. I become a Swami J, I become a Matri, I become a Rojo, I become a Joe, I become, God forbid, a Johnny. Oh my. How would that be to wake up in the morning and discover that you're Johnny?
Beardy.
Beardy?
Yeah.
It would be Beardy. So Rojo's afraid of waking up with a beard tomorrow. Anyway, that's the principle. That is the short version of this entire first section of the Yoga Sutras. What is yoga?
Amazing, huh?
I'm going to say it again. 1 is now I'm finally ready to take a look at myself and do this practice. Sutra 2 says all I have to do is set aside everything that I'm not. That's the word, fancy word is nirodha. Sutra 3 says once I've done that, now I rest in my true nature, which is called self or Atman or Purusha or self-realization. Number 4 says basically when I have not succeeded at that, I take on all these identities and I think I'm this person with all of these roles in life and this body and all that, and there we go. Okay?
Okay.
Did I go get the flashlight?
Yay!
I'm going to take this out temporarily, and everybody can have us back. give me a moment. Say something entertaining, Ma, or tell a joke.
Oh, I can't, but
Wait, I got some little cartoons here from Joe. I'll put them up. They're so small on my laptop, I can't tell what they are, but they're kind of cute
I
looking.
just have a white line.
Uh-huh.
Anything of it, but I do see his nice profile picture of a yogi meditating in a tunnel towards the white light. That's nice.
Oh,
That's a nice profile picture.
oh darn.
Ah, they're happy smiley faces.
I
Good.
lost my flashlight. Rojo, can you do me
You lost the flashlight? You lost the light?
a go over
Oh,
more in the house and get me the little black flashlight that's standing on its end?
it's a very nice way of practically getting an image. I was using it last weekend, Samadhi.
You're using what?
I was using it though I didn't have a flashlight. I was pretending to be a flashlight. This was my pretended flashlight.
What was it you were using?
A pretended flashlight.
You were pretending, huh?
Someone got
I'm
some
sending
sun.
Rojo over to get the little flashlight. It's here.
Good.
I
Who
thought
got sun?
it was here, but it's at the house.
Oh, I got sun. I was in Spain. It's windy and rainy and dark now, but it's in the middle of the night. But
It's windy and rainy there.
yep, a little.
It's
Been
beautiful.
clouded.
It's beautiful here.
I will. I haven't seen the sun in a few days.
Wow.
There's no road of the clouds here.
I'm
There's
putting
clouds.
this back up here while she's gone to get the flashlight. And so
Wow.
there is our principle here. It's like a mirror. Consciousness looks outward through the intellect, through the mind, and through the senses and body. There's a little baby looking in the mirror with the fascination. Look at the look on the eyes in that little baby there, if you can see it. It's just totally in awe overlooking in the mirror. It sees a reflection like a mirror. It sees reality, a world, a self-identity, which it falsely thinks to be me or mine. Through the forgetting power of avidya or ignorance, Sutra 2.5, consciousness says, I am this or that. Look at that little picture of the baby, if you can see it. This is what we do. We look at the world out here. I am the Atman. I look out here, and avidya is not a bad thing. It allows the little baby to think that it is a little baby. Pretty cool, actually.
It's a gorgeous channel for it to play through.
It's a gorgeous what?
Channel, in a sense, an opportunity. It's a
Channel?
nice lila. Channel. Consciousness kind of flows through all these layers. Outward.
The process of realization rests on pure consciousness, Purusha. Okay, I'm going to show you this picture here because it's nice. If you have not looked at this before, this is a graphic. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. I borrowed this from Ushabad Arya, who became known as Swami Veda, and I modified it ever so slightly. And it's noting on Sankhya philosophy that their Brahman manifests outward as two sort of semi-eternal phenomena. One is Purusha or consciousness, and the other is Prakriti, unmanifest matter. So that moves out as Mahat or Buddhi as an individual, then comes Ahamkara, then the three gunas manifest outward. We end up with the subtle elements of earth, water, fire, air, space. On the other branch, it manifests out as mind and the Jnanendriyas and the Karmendriyas. And so I'm not saying this to you to memorize this, but it's just a quick introduction of how Sankhya philosophy looks. And the next picture is the real key to this that I wanted you to see. What we are doing in the journey of yoga is we are simply reversing the pattern. That's the blue arrows. We are simply allowing all of our awareness of the gross and the indriyas and the mind and the ahamkara and the buddhi to come back into its form as unmanifest prakriti and then we awaken to Purusha. That's the core principle. Okay? I hope you enjoy that picture. So here, once again, I just used the hyperlink phenomenon of websites to be able to talk about this. And alrighty?
Alrighty.
Alrighty. Yoga is Samadhi. Both the ancient and modern sages, including Vyasa, flatly declared that yoga is Samadhi, the highest state of perfected concentration. And here the use of the word Samadhi means the highest use of that word Samadhi. So all of the things in our modern world that people talk about, yoga is this and yoga is that, and yoga is swinging on a basket from the ceiling, and yoga is something you do riding a paddle board, and all of these kind of things that have happened with yoga. Yoga is Samadhi because yoga means union. Anyway, yoga is not merely physical fitness, stress management, medical treatment, or a means of manifesting money, although authentic yoga is definitely beneficial in many aspects of life. I know I'm saying that quickly. I'll come back to this little metaphor. Who was it? Somebody sent me a modern picture of a microchip, and it's posted on the satsang group, a really neat picture, because I made this extremely crude version of an old-fashioned chip. And so what are we lolling about? Very rainy. Scott is lolling. I don't know what he's lolling about. Something we must have said. Or he's laughing because Joe said, I am that. And that's kind of funny, huh, Scott? And so anyway, I'm going to turn this off. Whoops. Oops, I'm going to take this out. That's what I'm doing. There, I'm figuring I'm learning how to use the buttons regularly. And so, can you see this okay, Ma, or should I make it just me? Should I make it me or both of us?
Let's see, because there's a few seconds delay. I can't see how it looks, but you can have the full screen, Samadhi.
Okay, all righty. I'm going to take Ma Tree out of here. She wanted to show you the cups. And so here is the flashlight. See the symbol? This is the symbol of the divine light. See how it's overwhelming? There is the light of 1,000 suns, also known as a flashlight. If you go over onto your Facebook tab, Ma, you can see that.
Quickly, there's a question or comment from Raj. I don't know if it was a question, but because it was longer than
it's going back to Prakriti in the figure, just showing kind of similar to receding to prajna with awareness, but short of wakening up to Atman. I'm going to put that there because that's so everybody can see it and can see it later. Yeah. Yes, it's essentially the same process, Raj. Now, I will understand that we can debate these points, and somebody else may say, oh, no, that's different than this. But it's essentially the same thing. Because what has happened is because of the process of avidya. Remember the 5 kleshas at the beginning of chapter 2 of Yoga Sutras. The 5 kleshas are avidya, asmita, raga, devesha, and abhinivesha, as you know. So the first thing that happens is that there is forgetting. And then there is asmita. Well, the asmita is made of prakriti. So that thing that I showed you first is like that's where the avidya is, where Purusha forgets that it's pure consciousness, and along comes Prakriti. And that's the same thing, essentially, as the prana coming out. So to my simple-minded thinking, if we try to overly debate that point, we end up confused. And it seems to me that the practical part of this is what's important. In practice, it's simply a matter of going inward. So to my simple-minded way of talking about it, Raj, that it is essentially the same as receding to prajna with awareness and then going beyond the prajna, following prana back to prajna and beyond that. I hope that
following helps. The evolutes of Shakti back to Shiva.
Yes, thank you, Ma, following the evolutes of Shakti back to Shiva, to say it in tantric terms. that these are not conflictual systems. As you know, some people say, no, yoga's over here and that's Patanjali and that's all wrong. It's only Vedanta. And somebody else says, no, it's Tantra, and those people are crazy. Or we can say, no, these are just different efforts to try to talk about the same one reality. Anyway, going back to the Matri requested flashlight metaphor, there is the divine light. Now, what happens is we are covered, and I'm going to turn the flashlight back on. So this is a symbol of Atman. But what happens is we are covered in layers of false identity, just like these Starbucks cups. And so what we are, remember, any metaphor tells you a message, but you can shoot holes. Every metaphor that I've ever encountered might have beauty to it, but it also is flawed. It's not perfect. And so this is not perfect because we are literally removing the cups. And what we're attempting to do in our meditations and our contemplations, so to speak, is to make them transparent. I don't know how to make these cups turn into glass. I don't know how to do that kind of magic. So here's the spirit of it. Remember, I'm removing the cups, but we're not actually removing literally. We're going inward, and the levels and layers are becoming transparent. So when I work with my body and my relationship with the external world, they are no longer disturbing or distracting to me. And then I have Annamaya Kosha, or Pranamaya Kosha, or however we're looking at it. We can look at it in this way up here, and we're moving systematically inward. Now remember, I'm removing the cups because that's what I've got here. It's not a perfect metaphor, but it kind of works nicely. And then I remove I deal with the Manamaya Kosha, and I go inward. And I remove even Vijnanamaya Kosha, the layer of buddhi, of intelligence, of individualized intelligence. And even I remove that. And then I find Anandamaya Kosha, which is the sheath of bliss. And this Ananda is experienced because all of the more surface layers have been set aside, but we have not set aside this. So we don't stop here. We don't stop at this level. We let it go too. And when we let it go too, what do we discover? We discover the divine light that is Atman or Purusha.
And this is resting in its own true nature.
And here, Tadadrastu Svarupe Avasanam, then the seer rests in its own true nature. And this is a symbol of the seer resting in its own true nature of being pure light. Now, we all can cheat because we know it's really just a silly little flashlight. But anyway, so then what happens is avidya starts to occur. We forget that we are divine light, and I start to take on false identities. And then I take on another level and layer of false identities. Now I'm wearing my samskaras. And then my samskaras operate out through a mind or a manamaya kosha, and then out through energy pranamaya kosha. And then I go and get a physical body. And once again, here I am. Now, if you and I have any understanding of what we've been talking about here with these first 4 sutras and this symbol, then we can look at any Starbucks cup, playfully said, and you can see the divine light. You can see the divine light as I'm holding it in my hand in every human being. You can see it in birds. Rojo gets to hang out with her cats, and she sees the divine light living through those cats. Are you still here, Rojo? Okay. And so we can look at life all around us. And there's
and the nice thing also, Samaji, on top of what you just all said, is that I enjoy that even with all these 5 koshas, you still see some light.
You still see
joy.
Yes.
Some of the joy is already visible, so to speak, and it just reveals itself gradually.
On top of it, you can get together with somebody, some nice person, and go have a cup of Starbucks together. Here is a Carlo, for example. So anyway, there it is. How's that, Ma?
Very nicely and simple, Swamiji.
Okay, so
Very
here
visual.
is the summary, the short version, the Starbucks cup version of the first 4 sutras. And now
And
I'll
then the
turn
rest of the Yoga Sutras will
And-
expound on that.
I turned this off. This is not death. It looks like this is death. Oh, well, the light went out. The yogic principle is the light never goes out. This was never born and it never dies. This is called birth. We take on all these levels of identity. This is called birth. And this is what death is, but because it's a habit pattern, we immediately start taking on samskaras. And then the samskaras want to operate out through individualization, asmita, and intelligence. What?
They want to play. They want to manifest.
Play.
They have stuff they want to
And
fulfill.
then that starts to operate out through tejasa, the field of dreams and the subtle planes. And then that energy moves out a little bit more and we get a physical body. And here we are out here as a little baby, like the little baby I had here in the picture that I was showing you a moment ago, the little baby looking out.
And that's why it also includes doing asanas, because we need to make the body not an obstacle in this inward process.
Yeah, and then the journey inward as we go through the 8 rungs through here, then we're working. How do we go about going through these levels? This is the systematic process of the 8 rungs. Remind me, Matri, when we get to the 8 rungs to bring back the cups, and we'll do that again. So what we are doing then is systematically working with what we've got here. We work with the body, we work with the senses and the body and the breath and the levels of the mind, and then we discover the flashlight. So it's this journey inward, and it's symbolized by removing the cups. That's the principle.
You also demonstrated Sutra 3.6 of going subtler and subtler and subtler.
Just going subtler and subtler and subtler, 3.6. And so again, notice that we're moving all over the place. And this is the way, what she just said here, this is the way in which all of these levels work together. We go through them, they all work together. And the whole of the 196 sutras is summarized in the first 4 sutras.
And Johnny asked a question.
I did not see it. Hold on a minute.
I thought that.
Are all made of vrittis. They're all made of prakriti, and all of those, and the field of prakriti is vrittis. So yes, they're all vrittis. So for example, commonly, it's a fun question that you pose there, Johnny, because I'm going to turn this on here so it's on the screen. It's very, very common. Oops, let me take this. It's very, very common. Let me put this back so it's you and I together. It's very, very common that when we say, yoga is the control of the thoughts in the mind field. And so it's very common to think, okay, well, thoughts are defined as my memories of people. Thoughts are defined as my attachments. Thoughts are defined as my busy, stress-filled day at work today. And if only I can get those to be quiet, then that's what this is talking about. As if just quieting my vrittis, my thoughts of my daily life, is what this is about. But to the yogi, manas itself, all of the 10 indriyas, every one of the cognitive senses, every one of manas and buddhi and ahamkara, all of those are vrittis. They are all vrittis. They are all fluctuations in the field of chitta. 100% of them are vrittis. They are vrittis. They are all made vrittis, question marks. And Raj says very simply, they are vrittis. This is one of those huge insights that in some sense ought to be obvious from the beginning, but it's not. Why is it not obvious from the beginning?
Self-preservation.
Yes, self-preservation, Ma just said. And Rojo just said, because we're ignorant. And ignorant means avidya. It does not mean stupid. It doesn't mean we have a low IQ. It doesn't mean we're not intelligent people. But this is a field of inquiry that nobody has ever told us about. So in our schools and in our families and in our churches or other spiritual organizations, nobody ever explains these concepts to us. So when we, in our later years, run into this, then we have to talk about it and have this conversation. So we have Johnny saying, Raj, even the Starbucks cup has Trump written all over. Oh, my. Yeah, don't open that can of worms, Raj. Are they all made of vrittis, Johnny says, and Raj says, yes, they are vrittis. So we end up, all of us, in our adult lives as human beings, most of us, many people that I have met, including most of you here in this conversation, have had childhood intuitions about what we are talking about, but you didn't have any validation for it. You had no parents, you had no uncles or aunts or cousins, nobody, and no teachers in school, and probably nobody in your churches or synagogues or temples. Even if you're born in India, Raj can attest to this. You may have some glimpse of this, but it's not thorough, it's not complete. So we end up not really knowing this. So later we have conversations and we say, wait a minute, 100% of this is vrittis? Yes, that's the deal. So it's the nirota of the vrittis. Okay, let's put that back up there, and I'm going to let this one take Matri and I. You and I are out of the picture again, Ma. This was my little microchip. What, Ma?
I can lay down again. No, just kidding.
Yeah, you can lay down again. Here's my very crude, old-fashioned chip. Simple point to be made. There's stuff out of the chip, and that's the prakriti. 2 is the program and memory that operates the chip, and 3 is the electricity. Stuff is the prakriti. Manifestations are the vrittis, and includes intelligence, mind, senses, and the building blocks of earth, water, fire, air, space, along with countless combinations and permutations of all of these. And the consciousness itself is the purusha. That's the electricity that allows the chip to work. Anyways, it's just a metaphor. And so here is a video. Look at this sometime. It's just Swami Rama describing these first 4 sutras, the very simple version of it. Here, briefly, let's go through this briefly. I'll look at the individual sutras. Now, after having done prior preparation through life and other practices, the study and practice of yoga begins. Key word there is atta. And shasanam is the person now is within, following tradition, yoga. Yoga. Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Rojo. And I know others are sitting at home doing this too. Yoga comes after preparation. It has to do with discipline and learning. And this discipline is something that's all acknowledged. None of us want to do this. We just don't want to do it, but we're stuck with it. And it starts as simple as saying, I'm going to sit down and be quiet once a day at the same time. Yoga. Boy, there is a yoga from Raj. Thank you, Raj. That's a really nice yoga. 5 states of mind. Vyasa described 5 states of mind in these sutras here. And these are basically, we can't go, we're trying to go through this on surface. If you want to go talk about these more, this is a good example here. If one of you wants to really talk about this some more, tell me and Matri, we will open up another video and talk for a half an hour or a little longer on these 5 states of mind. We can have a separate conversation about that. So here in this overview that we're trying to do, I don't want to try to go through these 5 states of mind, but it's a preliminary thing. If you are a doctor or a psychologist or any kind of yoga teacher or meditation teacher, it's very, very useful to memorize, to literally memorize these, because then you can relatively easily see the person in front of you, where they are with their mind. And we can, of course, see where we are ourselves. We notice that sometimes maybe you look back and you realize, that when you first started doing this stuff, you really were kind of a basket case. You were really had some troublesome stuff going on, and then you just became a little bit dull-witted. And then you're only distracted, and you're working on being one-pointed. So there's a progression through this, and Nirodha is Sutra 2. And then this is some greater descriptions of Kshipta Muda, and I don't want to spend the time in this journey through reading every one of these. It's on the website, it's printed, and just be aware of them. And again, like I say, I'm using this right now as an example. If any one of you say, I'd like to have some more conversation on these 5 states, just tell us, and we'll do it in a different format. This thing we're doing twice a week with this format of Yoga Sutras is one more attempt to find a way to go through the simplicity of the Yoga Sutras. And if we don't go through the simplicity, over years of watching people struggle with the Yoga Sutras, the problem is when you try to read, I'm going to hold up this book here just so you can, I'm going to use it as an example here. I'm going to put only me on the screen. Here is an English translation of the Yoga Sutras by Swami Hariharananda Aranya, rendered into English by P.N. Mukherjee. And it's got the Vyasa commentary in it, and it's got Hariharananda Aranya's descriptions in it too. And I'm going to look just here. It's very, very good reference book, but it's extremely difficult. And so if you try to read this book, the sutras that we're just been talking about is approximately the first 20 pages of the book. And so by the time you even get to Sutra 5, you're already totally confused. And this book it's a great book. It's well over 400 pages of Yoga Sutras. And if you happen to pick this up and try to say, I'm going to study Yoga Sutras, it will drive you crazy. Some of you know, you've tried this and you know what I'm saying playfully, how it can drive you crazy. You don't go into the library and pull out a 30-volume encyclopedia. It just, oh, thank you. I left the Atman on, and Rojo just came up and caught it and turned it off. So now we have turned off the Atman. Okay, now I'm turning this off. Why did I turn that on? Because I wanted to tell that story. Oops. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. Anyway, so those 5 states of mind. And here is a little picture. I'm going to briefly comment on this. This was an attempt to make a picture graphic that's showing the whole thing. What is yoga? There's the first section there. It has to do with uncoloring your thoughts and practice and non-attachment. It involves concentration and efforts. There's the Om, and then minimizing gross colorings, then dealing with the subtle, breaking the alliance of karma. You see the idea here. It's just some little arrows. This is meant to be just a simple pictorial journey through. And so maybe come back, take a look at it sometime. This is another example of one of those things that if this catches your attention and you want to say to Matri and I, can we talk about this stuff through the standpoint of this little graphic? Then we can do this. And I even put hyperlinks on here. What to do with experiences. What to do with experience. See, there it is, Sutra 38. We will get to that sutra again, but there it is right there. And so if you're curious to go into the website and look like this in printed version of book, you cannot do this because you can't put hyperlinks in a book. And so there is little to know. There is little to know. We talked about that last time we were together. The knowables become few. Sutra 31 of chapter 4. We eventually come to see that. Johnny said, tried reading it in high school after finding a copy of the Science of Yoga. Didn't understand a word of it, but the cities were kind of interesting. Yeah, that captures the principle. Thank you, Johnny. Yes, we read it and we don't understand a word of it. And in my process of going through this, I had the same problem, of course. And then after a lot of long walks with Swami Rama and listening carefully and doing all of that stuff, the day eventually came, and with some glimpses of experiences said, wait a minute, this stuff, I was about to say poo-poo, this stuff is just not that complicated. It's just not that complicated. And then how to communicate it. And that's what we're doing. This is what I'm attempting to do. Here's the definition of yoga. I'm watching the clock over there too because I want us to be done here. And so here's the description. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. It's the nirodha, the setting aside of all of the vrittis that are located in the chitta. And when you have done that, then you come to, all right, let's see. I'm going to do this here quickly. Then you come to rest in your own true nature once again, okay?
Nice.
And so there it is again. So there's the principle, okay? Yogas chitta vritti nirodha, okay? Here's another little picture. That's another attempt. This picture here is very similar to the cups and the light flashlight. We move outward, and the purple is we veil. We move outward and we veil. We move outward and we veil. This is the avidya. There is the natural tendency to move outward. One of the words of that is adhyasa, is moving outward. This is the thing that I often talk about. We came up a few days ago as being like centrifugal force and centripetal force. Take a stone and tie it with a string and swing the stone around, and there's two forces going on. One, if you let go of the string, the rock will go flying off. If you hold on to it, one force holds it in and the other moves it out. One's called centrifugal force and the other is called centripetal force. And so there's a tendency to move outward, whatever name you call it. One of the names of that is Shakti. Shakti has an inclination to move outward, or it's prana moving outward. And then what we're doing is doing a journey inward. The magnetic pull, to come back to the Atman, the question mark, the flashlight, the help that comes along the way. This is sadhana, it's practice, it's yoga, it's guru. Anyway, just another picture. This is another one of those examples. If you're going through this and you want to talk about this some more, tell me, and we will go through it together. We'll put another little video here in this group, and either I alone or Matri and I together alone will have a conversation. We can have some comments on it, or we can do it in the table talk group. We're really trying to use that table talk group to have more closer, intimate conversations like that. So use that thing if you want. Here's a symbol that says mind is like a transparent crystal. This is in Sutras 1.1-1.4. The mind is like a crystal. It takes on the coloring of whatever it's involved in. And I have some crystals. When we get to that sutra, I have some pictures of crystals. Then the seer abides in itself, resting in its own true nature, which is called self-realization. And that is the flashlight. That's the light that, you want to see it again? Then here is the flashlight. See, there's the true self. There's the true self. There's a little reminder, the wave. See, there's waves. I took a picture out at the ocean of the Gulf of Mexico when there was no hurricane. The wave forgets the truth that it is the ocean, thinking itself to be the grand shape which it has temporarily taken. For a while, it takes on the rupa form of wave. Finally, it remembers its true rupa or form of ocean. The two coexist, though one is true and the other is, though beautiful, is only relatively true. When you go to the beach and you watch the waves, it is absolutely beautiful to sit by the beach or take a walk on the along the ocean and watch the waves come crashing in on the beach. Most of us have done that, and there's a real beauty in that. It's not a mistake. There's nothing wrong with it, but it is ocean. So too, humans, we forget our true nature, but through yoga we can remember. It's just a picture, it's just another metaphor. And there's our friendly circle chart. We're all familiar with this. Consciousness this is a very old attempt. This is a person's eye with a nose. See, it's a person looking through a series of telescopes. And so we are looking outward through the levels of avidya. We are looking out through the avidya to become an individual. Then we are looking out through the ragas and the devations, the attractions and aversions and the fears. And so what with the journey inward, and we see the world out there. I used a little mountain there. And so when we recede inward through the instruments, then this is the flashlight. And finally, we come to see the light. There's Purusha and Prakriti one more time. And so there is the two of those pictures again. We manifest outward in some way approximately like this. I think this was a beautifully done graphic when Pandit Arya made this. I modified it. He did not put Purusha on here, and it made it the graphic. I added the word Purusha on here and there's arrows here just because it seemed to make it complete. He was trying to graphically describe the evolutes of Prakriti, which standing alone is good. And I'm not saying mine is better, but I just wanted to have a parking place to put the word Purusha. So I modified it a little bit. And I gave him credit for it. It was a beautiful thing that he put together. And so this is the journey inward, simply following the blue arrows inward. And what do you end up with? The flashlight. At other times, vritti sarupriam itaratra. Itaratra simply means at other times. In other words, when we are not in the state of self-realization, when we are not sitting there totally in Atman without any false identities, what do? We take on the false identities. It's a very simple concept, but it's easy to overlook it here. Boy, look at all of this. This must be a grunt. There's Johnny with a whole bunch of, I guess those are all vrittis, huh? Those are vrittis. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for the vrittis. And so we take on all these other ideas. So think about it. These 4 sutras are tremendously beautiful.
They are.
Now here is the graphics are not very good on here, but it's what I had to work with. These are chocolate bars. So here's a big bunch of melted chocolate, and you take a form like you made like where you put cookie dough in or something, and you take your chocolate and you put it inside of the mold. You pour and cool the chocolate, and you get little chocolate bars. I don't know why I use this symbol because I could find something I could do this crudely with the graphics. And so consciousness is also formless. Here I use blue instead of, because this is chocolate color. It's also poo-poo colored, but it's chocolate. It's chocolate, okay? And so consciousness similarly wraps itself around those objects. And I'm going to get my one other thing here to show you as I'm noticing the time, and then let's end this. I remembered having seen one of these little toys many years before. I've had this for probably close to 15 years now. And some of you have met Bowen, who is here, and Bowen has an antique store. Oops, I want to put me up there. And I described this thing to him. I said, one of these days I want to find one of these because it's a perfect metaphor. And he had one in his antique store somebody had from years ago. It's a little toy. And this is, think of this as a symbol of Purusha. And when it comes in contact with a memory trace of Prakriti, remember, it's just a metaphor, so it's not perfect, but it says something. When the Purusha, which is completely formless, see, it's completely formless. When it comes in contact with the Prakriti, it takes on the forms. In this case, it takes on the shape of my hand. You see there that? If it runs into a flashlight, now this is not perfect. And so when it runs into a flashlight, it takes on the shape of the flashlight. You see that fingers, I don't know, seem to work better with this. Again, it's not a perfect metaphor. If maybe it's a thumb, and so you see there is a thumb. There is the impression of a thumb. So the formless Purusha takes on the shape, so to speak. Remember, it's just a metaphor. It takes on the shape. It takes on the shape of the Prakriti. And so there we are. This is my last little picture here. This is the lake of the mind called Chitta. And there's all sorts of little vrittis in here. Now, I put here on one little reminder, we think I want this or that. I say, oh, Raj, I want some more mangoes. And it's not that the I want mangoes, it's the memory trace of mangoes that wants mangoes. It's the vrittis themselves, the samskaras themselves take on their own life and want to be fulfilled. The next sutra is Sutra 5. And so there we go, okay? And now we get back me and Amatri, and that's our journey through what is yoga, the first 4 sutras, okay?
Wonderful.
That's cute, Joe. Are we just poo-poo identifying as chocolate? No, we are Purusha. We are Atman identifying it. Actually, what you said is we end up thinking we are either chocolate, or if we have a really shitty attitude, we think that who I am is poo-poo. I'm worthless. I'm bad. I'm no good. Many of us have taken on those kind of meanings, haven't we? And I'm bad, or I cannot do yoga. I'm not going to be able to do this in this lifetime. And all the sages of all the traditions have said in one voice, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Atman is always here. Every one of us can attain this awareness in this lifetime. But yet I hear people say, I'm bad, I'm not good enough, I cannot do it in this lifetime, blah, 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 blah. And it's all that negativity. And that is identifying ourselves, Joe, as borrowing your words, it's identifying ourselves with poo-poo. And I am not poo-poo. I am the finest chocolate in the world. I am the pure consciousness. I am the Purusha of chocolate. What do you think, Mom? How's that work?
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to turn it around. We are really chocolate identifying with the poo-poo.
Say that again.
When he just shared this, I wanted to turn it around. We are really chocolate, as in the self, identifying with the poo-poo, which is the avidya.
Yes, yeah, that was what I was just trying to say. Just said it in more proper language, and I said it crudely, and you said it yogically. Oh, well. Associations do matter. They seem to matter, don't they? Yes, it's the memories, said Scott. Yes, that's what happens. It's all those memories. The vrittis take on their own life. That's what happens. They take on their own life, and then we end up thinking that I am the vrittis, and that's the avidya. Oops, boo-boo. So anyway, hit the nail on the head. So thank you all for playing. I know everybody in this conversation is pretty much up to speed with this, and so we will continue the journey next time. And so we're doing the Yoga Sutras twice a week, and we're doing, today is Wednesday night, and the next time is Saturday morning. And you'll have to tell me, Matri, if you want to. That's 8 o'clock Saturday morning. That will be what for you? 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I might not make it because I have something to do on Saturday during the day. But I'll keep you posted.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I moved it early. I did the clock wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the 5 o'clock, the 10 o'clock, what are you doing in Skido Samadhi? The 5 o'clock?
I don't know. We'll come up with something.
Okay, because I might be able to do that.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Might
just
be
keep
better
in
that.
touch and let me know. And
Yeah.
if we hear from anybody, any one of these subtle things here, we can add that in at that 10 o'clock thing too.
Yes.
So I haven't chosen anything, but I'm trying to do that of stuff mostly off of my website. That's that 10 o'clock time slot.
And for surely Sunday Samadhi, I'll be there.
Yeah, okie doke. And I guess we couldn't make it last Sunday because of the storm, the weather here, and the loss of the internet. But
Yes.
maybe we can do that on the subject of silence, which is what we
We
were
can
going to
still do that. That would be wonderful.
We can do silence.
Yes.
Okay. Glad you were able to get
Have a
the,
wonderful
were able to get online there, Ma. Thank you, everybody, for playing. Bye-bye. Dewey. Remember, silence after Om. That's where it is. That's where it's to be found.
That's the real silence.
Om. That's the real silence, is to be after the Om. Tat Sat. Okay. Bye-bye.
But now this Fritty is waving.
Who's
There's a
waving?
wave. The Fritties are waving.
The Vrittis are waving. Yeah, there they are. There they are. The Vrittis are waving.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, okay. Bye-bye. Dewey.